right, welcome, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I cannot believe I'm uttering these words. We are here in this moment. We have worked so hard for someone like you to come in and just throw HHS on its head because of all of the craziness that has been happening. And I want to ask you, I just saw earlier this morning, you announced that you are totally restructuring HHS. What does that new structure look like?
Well, you know, what we found over there is we have a sprawling bureaucracy that has all kinds of redundancies and a lot of administrative costs, and much less an emphasis on actually mission, which is gold standard science, patient care. And during the Biden administration, the budget of HHS went up by 38%, and the amount of employees increased by 17%, and all of the metrics of public health actually accelerated downward. We need to reverse that. And so we had, I came in, we have over 100 communications departments. We have 40 IT departments, 40 HR departments, and on and on. And we are going to consolidate those. The agency is a $1.9 trillion agency. It's completely impossible to govern. It's impossible to inspire. It's impossible to have a unified mission that everybody wakes up in the morning and says, my job is to make America healthy again. These different agencies, divisions were living in silos, and sometimes they devolved into kind of fiefdoms where they were at war with each other. So I found out that medical information that is collected by one silo, they then sell it to the other groups in my agency, instead of sharing it and saying, how do we use this in a way to improve patient care? How do we use it in a way to make people healthy? We're cutting down 28 divisions into 15. We're eliminating the redundancies. We're streamlining the agencies. We're going to lose we're going to go from 82,000 employees to 62,000. We're going to do nothing to cut the scientists or the frontline providers or the people who have core responsibilities for protecting human health.
Yeah, so basically, as with every federal agency, there's ridiculous bloat and redundancy, and the need to get rid of that, exists within HHS. I can totally see that. I want you to tell me about your new guidance to the FDA on the GRAS, generally recognized as safe, that, prior to you coming in, some of these food companies could just self-report that their certain ingredients were safe. And what is your new guidance?
Yeah, the background of this is that in 1947, when FDA was getting its act together, they created this standard. The original intent was that every new ingredient be tested. Every ingredient of our food be known, be tested. We know what the safety and risk profiles are. They said there's some ingredients that are so well known that have been used for thousands of years, like flour and eggs and salt and sugar, and we're not going to require the companies to test for those. And so they carved out a category called generally recognized as safe, GRAS. Unfortunately, when the agency was captured by the food industry, they hijacked that designation and they said everything is GRAS. So in our country, every chemical that is now added to food is assumed to be generally recognized as safe, and no testing is required. And in Europe, where they only have 400 ingredients in our food, we have 10,000. In Europe, chemicals that are added to the food need to be first safety tested before they're allowed in. In our country, that was never so. So we're going to end the use of the GRAS standard, and we're going to then we're going to go back through all the chemicals that are in our food, and we're going to test them one at a time. And we're redeploying massive amount of research resources to do that task, because we got to make Americans healthy, and that is the best defense against infectious disease and epidemics and pandemics. You have a healthy population, you already have a built-in defense system.
Yeah, it takes me back to the COVID era when we had all of these public health officials talking about how Americans, the death rate was so high compared to these other countries. And it's like, well, the obesity rate is very high too compared to other countries. Well, chronic illness is high too compared to other countries. So maybe we should look into that as well. They didn't want to talk about that at the time.
Exactly. We had 16% of the COVID deaths globally in our country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And a lot of the reason for that, some of it was just bad pandemic management, but a lot of it was because we have the highest chronic disease burden of any nation in the world.
Yeah.
And the people, CDC said that the average American who died from COVID had 3.8 chronic diseases. So, it was really the chronic disease that
may be something to do with it. Right, exactly. Maybe we should look at that instead. So I know that you just recently met with these top food industry CEOs to talk about eliminating, all of these, the dyes, the chemicals that currently exist, again, in United States food, even though places like Europe and others have a lot of these ingredients banned. How productive was that meeting, and how willing do these food CEOs seem to make America healthy again?
I think the meeting was very productive. We
Great.
told them that the dyes have to be out within 2 years, and we want them to reduce the amount of sugar in their food and the amount of seed oils and other ingredients that may be contributing to the chronic disease epidemic. I also had a separate meeting with all the baby formula manufacturers and distributors in our country, and work with them to develop a plan to make our baby formula so that it is the premier in the world. Right now, there's a lot of problems with American baby formula, and we need to get the best food possible into our babies.
Yeah, when I had a nursing problem with my second born, and they told me they wanted me on this hypoallergenic formula, but it was all foreign. I could only get the only ones that they needed me to use. I could only get, they were recommending all, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to get these. Why isn't this available in America? So I know all of the moms appreciate your great work on that. Okay.
There is a company here that is now making good, organic formula, not with non-allergenic ingredients in it. We want to encourage that. We also want to make it possible for American mothers, for the time being, to get a hold of the foreign formula until our local companies gear up.
Yeah. So I want to respect your time here. So last question. I spoke with Del Bigtree not that long ago with Maha Alliance about, he said that they were working on a new food pyramid, which very much excited me as someone who is very into health and nutrition, because the government telling us to eat 12 to 15 servings of bread a day was crazy. And so how willing would you be to look at a new food pyramid and instituting one?
We're doing that right now. When we came in, the Biden administration had created new nutrition guidelines, but they were unworkable, and they were supposed to go into effect on January 20th. I asked President Trump to give us permission to kick the ball down to March. And the document that we got from the Biden administration was 453 pages long. Oh, it's completely useless to a mother or to a school. And what I said is, we want a 3-page document that essentially says you should be eating whole foods.
Yeah,
right?
right.
And then give the schools the option of getting those whole foods locally, so that you're not dictating exactly what the diet is, but you're dictating broad categories and saying these are the kind of things. We don't want a lot of plastic packaging.
Right.
We want hot foods that are hopefully made on site. We should have nutritionists in every school in this country, like they do in Japan and other nations, that are supervising the food production and the nutrition of those kids, and have much healthier kids. We need to make this investment in our children.
Yes, amen. I appreciate you so much. Of course, the Secretary of HHS, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., thank you for all the work that you're doing for our children.
Thank you, and thank you for being such a great Maha warrior mom.
Thank you.